And what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It is your friend Cheap Ludes. Look, I wanted to wait a couple days before I spoke on the great pandemic of 2023, which whoever crafted the term pandemic and used it first, I can't credit you because I don't know who did it. But salute to you because that's an excellent word that I rather enjoy saying. Now, I want to talk about the whole situation in general. For a few reasons. A, maybe to bring some clarity to the situation and people affected by it, and A, to bring some kind of understanding and knowledge to people as well, and hopefully C, to maybe provide 2K with some ways that they could kind of curb this without going all out like they have. So, if you're not familiar with the ban in general, the ban occurred just a few days ago. 2K put out a tweet that said, PSA, if you bought my team points in 2K23, you will be temporarily banned for 10 calendar days. Repeat offenders face a 30-day ban, followed by a permanent account ban. And I would assume after the permanent account ban comes a console ban where they ban the whole system, or an IP ban. I'm not really sure how they're going to go about that. But to kind of surmise this, if you've bought MT this year, you get hit with a 10-day ban. They banned you on both gens. You're gone for 10 days on that account. If you buy MT again, you're going to be hit with a 30-day ban on both gens. And if you do it again after that, you're going to be hit with a perma ban. And then, we'll kind of go from there. I want to see how they handle it post-perma ban. Now, some people are asking, how are they able to tell if you're by MT? Very easy. 2K is a very large corporation, very large company. Take-Two Interactive has they have a lot of resources, right? If they wanted to tackle this problem because it was hurting their profit margins, they're going to be able to tackle it just fine. So chances are what they're doing is they're using, auction house bots to study, what cards are going for, and if an account is consistently selling cards for significantly over what they're going for, then they are probably going to get clapped. Now, that means if I have Stromile Swift and Stromile Swift is going for 1800 MT, but then they see that I sold Stromile Swift or multiple Stromile Swifts for 100k MT, that's going to red flag. And they're probably going to ban if there's enough instances of that. Which, with MT buying being at an all-time high and honestly being a problem in the game this year, it's not exactly hard to find evidence. Now, the bans don't just mean you bought MT. The bans can also come from winning giveaways, whether those be giveaways from creators or giveaways on like Twitter from MT companies directly. If you won a giveaway and somebody gave you MT that sells MT or promotes MT, there is a very high probability you are going to get banned. And most people did. So most people got banned who never even bought MT because they were in giveaways. So here's how I feel about that, right? If you're entering an MT giveaway, you have to understand that that is the same as buying MT from a TOS perspective. I feel like most people do understand that to a certain extent, but when it comes to the term giveaway, you kind of don't think about it like that, so I kind of feel for those people. A lot of people probably enter these giveaways because they're like, yeah, I would like some MT. You don't really realize that it's against TOS because it's like a creator giving it to you, so that kind of sucks, but there's no way for them to differentiate between somebody who won a giveaway and somebody who bought MT, right? Also, keep in mind, the bot they're using is not so sophisticated that it can tell, oh yes, this person, only did this one giveaway for 100 KMT and nothing else. Like, right. For instance, on my account, right, I believe this happened last year. Last year, I would sometimes put up cards for 100k to see if I could, trick people into buying them for 100k. You know what I mean? Like, if I see a bunch of cards up for 100k, I'll also put one up just to see what happened. And a couple times, they got bought last year. I think once, actually. Only once that it did happen. So, hypothetically speaking, if I see there's a bunch of Stromile Swifts for 100k and I put one up immediately, trying to, trick someone into buying it for 100k, the bot's probably not going to pick up on that. And I can tell you that's true because I have a few people that I've spoken with that have done that directly, right? So the bots are looking for multiple instances of doing things of this nature. So I'm not going to be rude about it, but I don't believe people who are on Twitter like, oh, I only won a 100k MT giveaway. You could have been doing it multiple instances, but also they do track the accounts that are consistently buying these cards for certain amounts. So a lot of what it is they're going to track the accounts, right? If they know that there's a certain account that tends to spend 100K on cards, every transaction that looks suspicious coming from that account going to another account, they're going to clap that other account too, like a spider web, essentially. So in the past, what makes this so much different than what we've seen in the in the past and previous years, because I mean realistically MT buying's been a problem since like 2K15, right? It reached kind of an apex over the last couple of years, but it's been an issue since 2K15 realistically. Anytime you bring in a grindable currency for a game, there's going to be illicit marketplaces that open up to sell that currency for cheaper than the game sells it, right? That's just always going to be a thing. Every card collection mode, skins in games, it doesn't really matter. Anything that can be tradable between players and grinded, there's going to be a service that will allow you to get that stuff for money. That's just the nature of the beast. It's always going to happen, right? When you monetize games, illicit marketplaces are going to form. So, in the past, they've always gone after people who promote MT and people who sell MT. This year is different in that they decided to go 1980s war on drugs with it and attack the direct consumers as opposed to attacking the sources. I mean, they're still definitely attacking people who promote promote MT services, promote grinding services, etc. But for the most part, they're attacking the consumer this time, and that's what makes it different, because we're seeing a lot more people who were affected than would ever have been affected in the past. So, let's cover a couple things here. All right, that was kind of a breakdown of the situation in general, but let's cover a couple things. A, if you're not familiar, MT buying is buying the grindable My Team currency from illicit third-party websites for money. Some of these websites are legit, and I would be willing to say a lot of them are not. And when I say they're not legit, it's not like you're going to get scammed by a lot of them, but what I'm saying is a lot of these are based in countries outside the United States, and I would highly recommend not giving your credit card information to these companies. There's never been any specific links between, I've seen some people state that there's links between like My Team sites and like organized crime. I don't know. I don't think there's any way to really tell that. I know there has been, times in the past where FIFA coin sites have been linked to like money laundering and like human trafficking and things of this nature. That stuff that I've seen online. Granted, I can't verify the validity of it, but they're things that I have personally seen articles on. So it's like, you can't come out and directly say, yes, this is involved in organized crime, but something to kind of take into consideration. Next thing is, it is very clearly against TOS. Like, whether you agree with that TOS or not, it's very plain that buying currency from third-party vendors is against My Team's TOS. So there was a lot of people who were like, let's sue My Team. Okay, first off, there's a lot of things that you could potentially litigate in regards to 2K. This is not one of them, unfortunately. You could potentially do class action against the pack odds, against the aggressive monetization of the game, against, kind of unfair business practices, but against violating TOS, you can't. They're a privately held company, they're a private game, they can do whatever they want. If they want to remove you, there's nothing you can do to stop them. They can remove you for anything. It doesn't matter. Even if you did have a valid case, they would just make something else up, or they would find something else on your account that violates the TOS they have in place. So there's no way you could ever fight this. Like, I'm sorry to say, if you've purchased MT, it is against TOS. There's nothing you can do about it. Now, where did the problem really start? Like I said, buying third-party currencies has been in the game since 2K15. It really became a prevalent issue over the last few years. All of that really stems from two things. And I'm going to get into it because I think both 2K and the player base share some of the onus in why this is a big problem now, why this ban came into fruition in the first place, right? So number one, the 250K tournament and 2K's aggressive monetization of the game are what led this to be a massive problem in the first place, right? 250K tournament, because obviously there's 250,000 on the line, and when you have a game that you're trying to push as an esport that's heavily financially reliant, you're gonna have this stuff happen. Like, when we have a game that encourages spending money to get the best cards to have the best chance, because this is a pay-to-win game, I don't care what anyone says, we all know it is, you can try to deny it all you want, that's not Card collection games are pay to win. All card collecting games, whether digital or real life, are pay to win to a certain extent, right? There's skill involved, but they have pay to win mechanics. When you have that and you combine that with esports, you're going to have a problem. When people have to financially invest, they're going to try to do it the cheapest way possible, and this is the cheapest way possible. But 2K has kind of created this problem as well with the aggressive monetization. Like, the game that you played in 2K18 and even 2K19 is not the same game that you're playing right now from a monetization standpoint. Ever since the microtransaction boom of 2020, during the vid, when everyone had extra cash and was stuck at home, ever since that, they've been kind of chasing the dragon, so to speak, to try to hit those microtransaction and revenue highs that they hit during 2K20. The way they've done that is by making the game more financially reliant, 100%. Like, they've literally pushed microtransactions harder than ever. They've raised the price. They don't offer VC sales anymore. They've made costs more expensive and odds lower. That is how they've done it for the past 2 years. Now, obviously, it's simple, man. I mean, if you have the ability to buy 20 packs of VC for what? Is it $50 for 20 packs, right? $50 for 20 packs, or $35 roughly. This is rough estimate. For 1 million MT, that allows you to just go and buy whatever player that you want to a certain extent, or open a significantly larger amount of packs. Like, I will go ahead and do the math here because I'm curious, right? So let's say you have 1 million MT. Let's go here and we'll divide that by 15,750. $15 less and you get to open 43 more packs. Possibly more, it doesn't count quick sell value or anything like that. The choice is going to be obvious for a lot of people. This also allows you to, just go buy whatever player you want off the marketplace. So it's not a shock that people do this, right? 2K has to understand that, which is why they're putting in such a rigid enforcement. What they need to do is decrease the cost of VC, but I'll get into that in a second. So we've established that 2K themselves have kind of created the monster that we see now. Now let's talk about the onus being on the player base, right? MT purchasing, like I said, has been in the game since 2K15. It really didn't reach its peak until 2K's aggressive monetization of the game mode over the past couple of years. They're pushed towards like fully pay to win over the past couple of years. Now the player base has a partial bit of responsibility on this too, because the amount of MT buying that we have seen this year is beyond anything that we have ever seen before. Cards are going for consistently. You can make the case that you've seen cards go for just as much before, but cards do not go for nearly, or have not gone for nearly as much as they're going for now in the past. Like, yeah, we've seen like the occasional card go for like 1.52 million, especially, in like 2K20, 2K21, but this year has been insanity. I mean, going back to season 1, day 1, Stephen Curry was 300K, which is crazy. It's crazy to think about. Think back to Shaq last year. Shaq was not that much. You could get Shaq for 80K last year at the beginning of the year. Granted, he did go above 100K once people started getting MT, but from the moment the game came out, Stephen Curry was over 100K. That is crazy, right? Shades of cards were expensive, 300K when they first came out. I mean, we were seeing Vince Carter was like 400K. The highest card initially was Jordan. Jordan was over 500K, and that was a mere 2 weeks into the game's lifespan. And then, Wilt was around there too. The real big one was KG. KG was consistently over 1 million MT for the entirety of the week he was out, mere 4 weeks into the game. So you can tell that MT buying was a huge issue this year. And like I said, I'm not putting that on the player base. I'm just explaining the roles, right? Obviously, it wouldn't have been such an issue. Most people don't choose to go to illicit third-party websites because they like it. Most people choose to go to illicit third-party websites because it's a better bang for your buck. If 2K would just understand that and maybe decrease the price to open packs on VC by a significant margin, they would A, make more money, and B, stop some of the MT problems that they themselves have kind of created, right? 15,000 VC for one single pack is ridiculous. It's like, I think $2 a pack, if I'm not mistaken. Let me verify. That's $5 a single pack. I obviously haven't bought VC in a little while, but $5 per pack. Per pack for these. And the odds still sub 2% for an oval, 8% for a pink diamond. Like, the odds are horrible. You're essentially paying $5 to get an amethyst from season 1. And these are super packs. Like, they're supposed to have the best odds. So you can kind of see the issues that, have kind of played the game mode and why people would go and do these illicit third-party sites. If you really want to understand the whole crackdown, look at the war on drugs in America in the 80s, right? Prior to the war on drugs really ramping out due to Criz Act, most of the time they kind of went after suppliers and they went after, pushers, I think is what they used to call them back then. It's such a sick word, by the way. After that, they put a lot more focus on the individual purchaser, and that spiraled out of control. It was horrific. 2K is doing the same thing. 2K is doing the same thing as Reagan-era drug enforcement policies. That's not good, dude. This is only going to get worse at this point, right? I've had people ask, are they going to keep it up? Yes. Yeah, they are. They're 100%. If they went out and they did this, something they've never done before, unprecedented, they're clearly spent a lot of time and resources to make sure this is tackled, they're going to continue to do it. And that's something that I think everybody needs to understand, is they're going to keep doing this. There's no way they don't. So, how can 2K fix this? I mean, right off the bat, VC prices need to be slashed. If they don't outright slash the prices, like, to purchase VC, because they are obnoxiously expensive, which I don't think they will do, because that digs into their kind of park profit margins, because they have two different currency, or the same currency when they should have two different currencies, if I'm being honest. They need to decrease the price per pack. Like, they do. A 20 box should not be $50. At the absolute maximum, and I would like it to be lower than this, obviously, but the absolute maximum, a 20 box of packs should cost $20. I'm sorry to say. Like, that's what needs to happen. It should be $1 or $2 per pack at the absolute most, not $5. These aren't real life packs that accrue value over time. These are digital cards that disappear after a year and a half. There is no reason they should be $5 each. Like, a 20 box at the absolute maximum should be 99k VC. Maximum. Like, absolute maximum. It should be the cost of a 10 box. Like, that's really how it is. That's the maximum, and then it should be like 45k for a 10 box. And that's with me understanding they still need to make profit. So they need to do that. They also need to increase the odds. 100%, because the odds are horrendous. Like, we cannot be having sub 2% and then 3% for PDs at this point. Like, they're so bad. It's only going to get worse. It really is only going to get worse. Now, a couple things that I want to clear up, because I've seen a lot of people kind of do talking points about this whole situation in general. Okay, gives me a headache just thinking about it. The same people who screech about cards shouldn't be easy to get because participation trophies are bad are the same people who got popped buying MT. That sounds to me like you were trying to do a shortcut to get a card easier. It sounds like you don't have the grind set that you preach upon other people. That's bad. Easy reward cards are good for everybody. Okay, you can't call them participation trophies and then go buy a bunch of MT to get the cards that you want without having to work for it. You can't do that. It's got to be one or the other. You can't do both. Like, that's what I got to say about that. I just need that to be very clear, because I'm tired of that participation trophy rhetoric. Because if you want to live that creed, then go off and grind this game to your heart's content and talk to people about how the reward cards need to be hard so only the best can get it. But then don't go buy a bunch of MT and then just buy cards, right? I personally should also specify, I don't necessarily have a problem with buying MT. I don't. 2K has made the game so expensive to play and so expensive to succeed that I don't blame people for taking third-party routes, you know? The only reason I didn't do it is because I'm naturally conspiratorial and just assume the minute that I do it for the first time, I'm going to get popped, which it's funny because I actually considered doing this 3 days before the actual ban because I was like, man, I'm super low on MT. I want to keep doing pack openings, but $50 for only 120 pack is too much. Like, it's going to bankrupt my channel. I should just finally break down and do it. And I didn't because I'm just a pansy, and didn't want to get my account clapped. And then this happened 3 days later. So that was a sign from Cthulhu, probably, I would assume. There's a lot that goes into this discussion, but here's the one thing I want to leave you with. Everything can be true at once. Not everything needs to be rigid. Can MT buying be bad for the overall mode, while at the same time VC prices are ridiculous and 2K needs to make changes? Yes, both of them can be true. The reality meets somewhere in the middle, where there are things on both sides you can agree with. Like, MT buying is objectively bad for the mode because it makes every card so expensive that all it ever does is encourage people to buy more MT, and people who just buy VC end up getting hung out to dry as well. Also, MT companies literally price fix the entire market with bots, so it's bad for everybody. Like, it negates the experience for every person that plays this game that doesn't buy MT, okay? But at the same time, is this on 2K? Because they have ratcheted the prices up and taken the odds down so much to try to combat this, and honestly to be greedy in the first place, that they're just making it worse and worse and worse. Also, yes, like, all of these things are accurate. And it's very unfortunate because I don't know if we're going to find a middle ground. The middle ground I've already suggested. Also, look, be kind to each other. Because I've seen a lot of people gloating like, ha ha ha, that's what you get. That's what you get for breaking TOS. Ha ha. That's messed up, dude. Okay? Like, we've already established within this video that it's almost kind of a necessity to play this game at a high level to purchase MT from third-party sellers, right? It's not cool to kind of gloat on people just because you didn't get banned. That's some real hall monitor energy, and it's kind of whack. At the same point, attacking people just because they say, I think it's good that they're starting to clamp down on this, is also trash, because there is some merit to that. So I don't want to go full in with my thoughts. I'm going to sit here and articulate them a little bit, better for the podcast this weekend, which should be a banger, by the way. Check out the Our Team podcast, self-promo. But I just kind of wanted to talk about this in a calm, level-headed manner, because I feel like a lot of videos are just like really ranty and screamy about the situation, which I understand, because like getting banned for something they haven't enforced in 8 years is kind of whack. But look, at the end of the day, if everyone got to keep their MT too, which, I mean, obviously we saw somebody had a little bit of a heads up on this one with Himadu Diallo getting transferred for 15 million MT. So somebody, and I'm gonna guess that person is going to need that MT for something, had a little bit of a heads up or an idea that this was happening and transferred basically enough MT to last the entirety of the foreseeable future. So, people get to keep their MT. It's just, if you bought MT before, I would highly advise you don't do it now, because they clearly are on it. So, like, I just wish everyone the best, really. And I hope 2K takes the things that I'm saying to heart on this one. I just want them to decrease the price per pack in VC. That's the biggest thing they can do to combat this. Because as I said, people don't just go and use third party, kind of illicit or against TOS like services, unless they're being forced into doing it for the most part. Majority of people would prefer to buy it directly from 2K and not risk getting banned if it was something that was reasonable for them. What 2K has done with VC this year is unreasonable, so it's not surprising that so many members of the community are buying it from places where it's cheaper and easier to use. So please, 2K, just lower the cost of VC. Increase the odds. If not for like the health of the player base, for your own pockets. Nobody buys this stuff right now. Your profits are so low because you're charging so much that people would rather just not buy it. I know 2K is thinking too that they've done this ban, now everyone's going to go buy VC. Please show them that's not the case. Show them that their profits are down, right? So they slash the cost of VC. Also, if they were smart, they'd run a VC sale once the 10-day ban is up. But we'll see. We'll see how smart they are. But if they cut the price of VC packs in half and increase the odds by 1 or 2% across the board, I can guarantee you the MT problem would be a lot more manageable. It has been your friend Cheap Ludes. I'm not trying to argue with anyone in the comments, okay? I just want to make a video with my thoughts and kind of explanations and ramble a little bit. So just try to be as in the middle as possible. You know, if you buy MT, you're not a bad person. Like, okay, that needs to be said. And if you're gloating about people getting banned, I understand why you're doing it, but it does come off as kind of rude. So have a good day, you guys. I'll see you in 10 days, I suppose.